Gavel, that's the only reason I'm so good. I had a gavel.
So there is a gavel.
I remember that there was a gavel.
Absolutely, have a gavel.
There is a gavel.
It's in that box.
It is in the box with.
Do you want Oh, yeah.
Let's see.
We got Ooh, we got
That's a.
Nice.
Hold on.
Baby.
Hello, good morning.
I think there's a.
Oh, is there a standard?
I think there's a.
There we go.
Wild crowd is.
There's a.
Oh, let's try. I don't know what they call that, but there.
Give it a test.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, all right, good business.
Sports adjourned. Oh, wait.
Oh, that's where you heard that
yourself.
before.
There, I love it.
All right, you guys, oh, great, good to see everybody in a good mood, good to see everybody. As we start the meeting, I do want to point out that we have had an additional, and it may not be official yet, because I don't know if Marty's gotten an email from Rebecca. But Rebecca has had to resign from her position on the board. It's just too many things kind of coming together, but she wanted the opportunity to maybe in a year or two, if she had the opportunity to come back, she would look at that again. You know, so anyhow, so at the moment, we have 2 vacancies. We have a candidate with us this morning who we're going to talk with in just a couple minutes. So getting on with the meeting, the first thing on the item on the agenda is minutes. It's been 2 months since we met because of the ice last month, so we did not meet in February. You know, so I hope folks have looked at the January minutes, and if we don't see anything that's really glaring that needs to change, I'd love to have a motion to accept those and.
Motion to accept. I'm second.
Okay, we moved and seconded to accept the minutes for January. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you. And with us this morning is Kelly Hudson. No, Kelly, there is an empty seat at the chair.
I'm gonna move over here. I'm left-handed and you don't want me sitting next to you.
You can sit with the tissues in case you need to cry.
So Kelly, this is an opportunity for you to, in just a very few minutes, kind of encapsulate yourself to us and, you know, why you're interested in this position and what you bring to our board. Yeah,
Well,
Coach.
I'm glad we get to be here for the meeting, so I kind of know, what do I have to bring to this board? I've been in public service for 27 years with the city of Scottsdale. I was in the library.
Oh,
Library
nice.
supervisor did that. Public service. For public service, and thank you all for being here. Volunteers run everything, so. It's something I believe in.
Yeah.
We've only lived here for almost, coming up on 2 years in August. Scottsdale, Phoenix, Arizona. It's too bloody hot.
We're working on it.
Yeah, but I like the weather. That time of my life, the weather's nice. Yeah, it's 80 there now, which is crazy. But I take fitness classes and stuff in the store and doing that. Almost since the time we got here. I really like the center. I'm sorry for the people over there, because library person, I speak to here. So I don't write because.
We tend to go here.
I'll work on that.
Yeah.
The parks. But yeah, I got people here. It's a really nice place to meet other people. And so, when I saw this come up, I thought, well, that would be a nice way to get involved with the community. Here, we're starting to settle in. We live in Milwaukie, which is a cute little town. But we got plenty. Everything's so close here. Everything's like within 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Just, so
We try to avoid urban sprawl.
they think to be avoided at all costs.
Yeah.
Coming from.
Yeah.
That's it,
You just wanted to do
yeah.
that.
I visited.
Yeah, from
so,
down
you know,
in that area, it's really obvious.
I went to a conference down there years ago. Oh, wow, everything's so spread.
Yeah.
It's very spread out. And everything looks the same. Here you have character. I don't, and maybe you don't appreciate that you have character in your picture, maybe so used to it. Go someplace else where they don't, and you come back here and it's just beautiful.
Kelly, I wonder if any of the members have any questions for you or any clarification. We've all looked at your resume. And it's great to actually meet you in person. Sorry, we couldn't have done that last month, but.
Well, I'm glad you canceled the meeting. I didn't want to have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Neither did we.
Lorraine,
Yeah,
It's hard.
I do have a question. Did we have anything, or did you have anything in Scottsdale, something similar to the community center that?
We had two in Scottsdale, we had two, we call them senior centers.
Mhm.
So there was Via Linda and then there was Granite Reef. And Scottsdale is very narrow and long. It can take you easily 40 minutes, if you went from one end of the town to the other, it can take you almost an hour.
Wow.
Because it's long.
Hmm.
If you've ever been there, but Pinnacle Peak, it was there. That's the far north end. But they only have two senior centers, and there are little community centers around the parks. Mainly for swimming lessons, some fitness classes and some of those. But the senior centers have, they're huge, and they have sleep fitness classes and things like that, and health classes. And they have any schools in there, art classes, you know, places to gather.
Do you have mahjong?
I believe they do.
Good.
They're missing out if not.
And they're very well used and loved. So, oh, and they have actual fitness center with machines and everything too, so. Yeah, we was there. We would hold meetings sometimes there, the staff would hold meetings in some of those centers as well.
Ben,
I would say that was a major retirement magnet, so I would hope that they would have been built big, assuming. there's a
Yeah,
lot of
we
people
really,
coming
there are
from.
a lot of medical facilities around there, they have clinics down the street. And so there is a heavy retirement community there that they supported. And the libraries, obviously, we supported everybody. Large type books in our collection. So, yeah. And people volunteer.
Well, what the process of what happens from this point forward is that at today's meeting, at the end of the meeting, we'll excuse you from the meeting. And then we'll discuss and vote on your application. And when it moves forward, it goes to the Clackamas County Board of County Commissioners, sitting as the board for the Milwaukie community, well, for NCPRD. Yeah, right, yeah, for NCPRD. And they do the official blessing, if you will, of any nominations that come from this advisory board. Because as you know, we are an advisory board to the Board of County Commissioners, sitting as the district board. And then Angela is the chair of the foundation that serves the Milwaukie Community Center. And so we're gonna hear a little bit more from her later on, but that'll help give you an idea. So you're welcome to sit in on the whole of the meeting until we get to the end, or
Just tell
we
me
can.
to leave out. Adios.
Yeah, so whichever, yeah, it's your choice. Thank you. Thanks for the info this morning.
Sit back here so I can
Appreciate having you here.
thank you all for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah, and next on the agenda is the open house. So
Yes,
Riley, you got something for us?
we do. We were able to meet in the interim after the ice storm.
Yes.
Group of us were able to, on a, I honestly don't even remember, one of the Fridays in
Yeah,
between.
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago. Very productive meeting where we were getting to a point where we started to have like a draft schedule that we're almost ready to share with you. I wanted to make sure, I think we need to talk about it one more time
Okay.
as a team.
I think that's good.
What do you think?
Yeah.
I think so. But I think after that, as soon as early next week, if you're comfortable with this, I might send out some volunteer opportunities
Oh, good.
for the day of to this group, because we
That would be really
we
important.
really love it.
We
And
want people to be vested in it. Yeah.
exactly. And so for just for your background knowledge, my little elevator pitch here, it's the center's 45th anniversary this year. The 40th was,
Kaputski.
yeah, exactly, if you could think to 5 years ago,
Oh,
spring.
because of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so this is an opportunity to celebrate the center, but also be an open house to program participants or hopefully future program participants who are not your typical standard daily folks, while also celebrating an opportunity to celebrate the daily folks too, since it will be a Friday that is simultaneously a no school day for the school district. So that kind of checks both boxes of Friday. As you can see, parking lot's pretty full on a day like today, pretty popular, at least in the morning. And then on a no school day for the district, we're hoping to bring in some parents and kids who.
Have you settled on the time?
Yes. 2 to 5.
Yeah.
2 to 5 p.m.
Again?
May 16th. May 16th, 2 to 5 p.m. We will send out something really easy to fill out with shifts. And you don't have to feel like you have to stay for the entirety of the event, but it's really only 3 hours, so it's not that long. I think the thing that will be most useful for us as a group is that we'll have a passport kind of activity for folks to go to different locations around the center. That was one of the main goals of this, was to expose people to all the variety of opportunities at the center, even if they've come here for one thing that they might not have known that others exist. And there will be activities in most of these places, but we want a volunteer to be there to be able to stamp the passport, to direct traffic, to support whoever is leading the activity. So, you're not on the hook to lead an activity or bring an activity yourself, but you're supporting another person who is either another volunteer or a NCPRD staff member, depending on the location. Just for your curiosity, locations are the library with some teen night games, brain games in the slaw room, which is here, Rose Garden, the community garden / gazebo, maybe doing this, maybe we were hoping that there may be a small seed giveaway there of some pollinator seeds, but that would be a bonus.
Maybe you could get some of those gardeners to come and say what a good thing it is.
That's what we're hoping. Yeah, exactly. The mural, the artisan gift shop, stopping by the Oregon Grape Room where there will be some acrylics artists doing some open studio time. Canvas Dogwood Room activity TBD, and then free space in the center, like a bingo thing often has. And that's where you pick up your card at the NCPRD, maybe the rec table, which there'll be tables in the main room, for instance.
Let me see if Paul's
Yeah.
comment to what you said so far.
The question actually is, well, it's kind of tied into the open house.
Yeah.
Many boards I've served over the years have name tags and community notes.
Oh, I have a note on
We haven't,
Good question.
we haven't had one for years. I don't know.
name badges.
I don't know what the costume ones are.
See, that's written right there. Yeah, say, talk to Marty about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think having some.
We still have badge.
Looks like that one, I keep everything.
Here's
I keep everything.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's a greater need, well, especially with the goals that we've established and with the
Right.
open house coming up. I personally feel like there's a greater need for us to have some kind of name badges that people know, yeah, this is
That way.
an
It doesn't
advisory
say
board
what
member
I
of
do.
that, so.
That doesn't.
We can work
I didn't know
on
you had it.
how it looks, graphics.
Yeah, I mean, it'd probably be similar, just the one that Ben did.
Yeah.
before this, if that's all right.
Yes.
So we'll get your names on
Let's
them.
see that again.
Well, that's
Maybe
easy-
that says
That's
advisory
easy to
board.
do.
Yeah, it should say, it
It
should
doesn't say
say,
what I do, it just says.
right, Milwaukie Community Center Advisory Board or
Okay.
MCC Advisory Board or something. So, yeah, good. Any?
Yes, I have something to add.
Yeah.
So, we are gonna ask you to volunteer at the stations, as Riley mentioned, but we're also, when people fill these out, is to win prizes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Raffles, so we would like, if possible, for y'all to contribute. Something, not huge, but something towards some of these raffle prizes.
Uh-huh. Are you gonna try to like build baskets, do you think? I have several things at home that.
Yeah, we haven't really gotten to that point.
There will be 3 drawings. it
Three
sounds like,
drawings, so 3 decent baskets,
Okay,
or at least. Whether they're a
Or gift
theme or just a
cards.
mismatch of
Yeah, of
things,
course.
I'm not sure.
Yep.
mhm.
If you do baskets, we have that contact that makes up beautiful baskets, and she's a member of the, I think, Clackamas board, the,
The chamber.
So
Yeah.
And she's
Happy
done them,
baskets.
she's done them for the foundation before.
So if you're looking for donations, then something we would then contribute to these baskets if we're only having 3 drawings, so you don't want us all to bring in.
No, what we could do is next meeting,
Might even, we were even saying like, it was 3 drawing times, but might be multiple.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we could
Yeah,
have.
multiple, let's
because
have more than 3
The
prizes.
the passport is related to the raffle,
You
that's all I need.
enter to win.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
So you fill out the passport to get a
So I got
raffle.
something.
Those are the people that are
Yeah.
eligible for the
Yes.
raffle. Oh, that's great. So we don't have to worry about tickets
So
or anything.
that was all I needed,
Exactly.
the window of
Okay.
time for 3 drawings, and maybe we have multiple drawings.
Per window,
Yeah.
kind of depending on how many prizes we
Yeah,
can
right.
scratch.
Right.
Fleshing that out.
Yeah, okay.
In between the raffle drawings, which will happen on the stage, I believe there will be 3 performance slot windows. We were starting to narrow down, like one will probably be a Tai Chi demonstration. That was
I believe that's correct.
Another was live music, and then a third was perhaps a line dancing, but the third one was, I think, still a DVD. So yeah, a mixture, right? Like a little bit of, you see a little bit of some of the activities, but also, you know, there's a lot of vibrant live music that goes on
Yeah.
from just community members. See if I'm missing anything here. We're still kind of honing in the cake and ice cream situation, trying to get it donated. Originally, the people I reached out to wanted us to pay for it, which, you know.
Have you reached out to Baskin Robbins?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
Okay, how about Luna's?
yes.
Luna's,
Yeah.
no,
I mean, they're small companies.
that's why, she was like, we can't donate it for the large of it.
Yeah,
Darn it.
expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's really nice, I know Rachel.
She is,
See
yeah.
if Virginia has a comment or a question.
When are we supposed to get the pictures back for the slideshow?
Anytime you're ready to bring them in, bring them in.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
Mike's
got
right.
mine in.
They're more
Weeks ago.
established.
That's a good point. They've been around forever.
Yes, they might have more of a budget for that.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Do you hear that, Joel? Mike's?
Mike's Drive-In.
Riley,
Yeah,
do
actually, we have some more ice cream discussion at our meeting after this.
That's basically everything. Oh, sorry, the last thing was that we are making sure that we're getting the marketing stuff dialed in.
With the county.
Yes.
Riley
yeah,
and I talked to
good.
Melina this past couple weeks about that.
Yeah, okay, all right, that sounds really good, thank you for the work on this. This is exactly the kind of thing that we should all be doing and being invested in, so. We wanna let people know, and I think you said, but I wanted to be clear that Kelly, heard that we recently changed the name to Community Center instead of just Milwaukie Center. People think of it as a senior center place. So we want to be sure people know that it's for everybody and everything. I mean, the Tiny Tots Ballet is my favorite.
Exactly.
And, all the way on up to even people my age, so. Yeah, so that's the deal on that, which leads us right into goal discussion. So that's the kind of thing that I hope will continue to go on, whether it's, 45th anniversary open house celebration or whatever, but so we came up with, as you all know, 3 major goals at our goal setting session. The first one is to add art to the walls of the center, either murals or showcasing classwork. Second one is staff spotlight, and there's a little bit more that I have on that. And then thirdly, and it's this type of thing, reaching more people by tabling at more events. Maybe that's the Oak Grove Festival, that's First Fridays, that's farmers markets, those various kinds of things. And then we had a variety of other items that we looked at that we ranked in there. They're listed in the packet that you have for today. And complementing the Concord School was also a high priority, but we decided to set that on the back burner for at least 6 months and then see where we were with that or where the county is with that and then bring it back forward. So what I am hoping today is that folks may have looked at these 3 that we want to focus on and would be willing to be part of a subcommittee or a small group that fleshes things out. For instance, on the staff one, celebration of staff. What we had a meeting with Kia also, Marty and I did, and talked about these 3 different goals. And I don't really other than art on the walls a little bit, I don't see any of the three that cause a lot of financial, need. So I'm hoping that, they all go pretty smoothly and that we can be involved, invested in that. So on the staff, one of the things that Kia did mention, which I'm sure it was up there and we probably thought about it, but nobody really said it, is we can't very well choose somebody that helps out at the Milwaukie Community Center and expect that to be marketed by NCPRD because they have 100 and some or whatever it is employees. And so we don't know anything about the ones that are outside the Milwaukie Community Center. So we're kind of concentrating on that. So what I think we need for that particular goal is for maybe 2 or 3 members of the advisory board to get together and talk about what would that program look like? What is our goal? How are we going to celebrate staff? Are we going to put a picture in the hallway? Are we going to write something? We won't have Connections magazine to be able to express things like that. So how else do we do that? So if you're interested in helping with that, I'm looking right now for volunteers. Paul, so anybody want to work with Paul?
I can work with Paul.
Okay, thanks, Rosie. Anybody else that would like to work on that particular?
I'll help with that. I think that's something that I'm pretty passionate about because that's what makes this place the special place that it is. It's the staff that run it.
And I agree, and and the recognition, I think, would make them feel good,
Yeah,
which is what we're after.
We haven't heard about the next, but that's something needs to be localized.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Recognize that they're peers.
Yeah, and Paul,
And people getting to know who they are by walking into the center.
I walk into my mother's retirement center, Dutch Mark, and every out there's a couple pictures in the main elevator.
yeah,
Employees will be.
that's kind of what I'm
And
thinking.
who they are.
They are.
But we're gonna leave that to the 3 of you. You can meet,
Yeah.
discuss whatever. And Paul, will you take the lead on that? and be the-
Sure.
I'd like to. Yeah, your time's coming now too, so.
It's always long.
Okay,
That's
I'm gonna, with the approval of all of you, I want to have some more discussion with Marty about the art piece and then see, do we need a subcommittee? Do we need one person to work with you? What do we need, and I'm not sure at this point. So is that okay?
Great.
I'm just gonna make a note here.
Sarah
We wanna
mentioned at one of the last meetings that there is an organization that lets you borrow art on a
The Arts
rotation
Alliance.
basis for free.
Is it the Clackamas Art Alliance?
I
don't
can't
recall the
remember
name
what
of
it
it.
was.
I think
But we
it
can look
is.
into that, that's great.
Yeah, okay.
We wanna have something, maybe the first one at this, maybe time for the open house. Not too soon.
You could, let's just put it this way, let's say for our April meeting. Have a first report back, so you guys would meet in this next 3 weeks or so. That's okay.
Yes.
Right, thank you. And then I'll get together with Marty and see what our
Talk
next
about
step
that.
is on art, and then reaching new people through tabling at different events. Is there anybody that would like, and again, 2 or 3 people to work together to say, what does that look like? What do we do? I mean, it's very similar to,
Is it not just a kind of continuation of?
it kind of is, yes, so do you
I don't know
wanna?
if do we want or need an additional group?
Yeah, do you want to, do you and your committee members want to
Right.
continue to meet and talk about this and come back with?
I'm happy to.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
You're sitting close to me, I'm sure you'd love
I mean, it
that.
sounds like, just to clarify, as far as tabling marketing within our board, we're really just doing our best to monitor community activities outside of maybe what NCPRD is already being invited to, correct?
Yes, so like right now, as an example, the Milwaukie Farmers Market doesn't consistently have a presence of either NCPRD or of the Milwaukie Community Center. But when we can either buy a space, or depending on what y'all, come up with, or we can kind of go in with Milwaukie when they're there every other week and have information specific to the Milwaukie Community Center. That's where, in the last couple of years, where I've taken a lot of the Connections magazines, when I've worked their booth down there. But they're also, the city is also willing to have like the magazines inside, so I'm thinking they would not mind having somebody or something about our center or their center, but you know, at every farmer's market that the city has a booth. Does that make sense? You know, so it's kind of like, what are the parameters, what are we really talking about, and how do we get involved? And I would, again, I'd add to that, I think that part of what we're looking at is for us as board members to be the people that are there helping with the tabling and handing out information and getting involved, which wouldn't mean that we'd have to do that very often individually. It might be every 6 months or something, 5 months, well, whatever, you know.
You also have the sustainability fair, Milwaukee Festival.
Yeah, all these other kinds of.
Well, that's all easy,
Yeah.
low hanging fruit in Milwaukee. I think the bigger challenge
Is
and what we
getting-
should be focusing on though is getting outside of.
I
Southern
agree with you.
Milwaukee.
So like Oak Grove Festival that they have,
Yes. Right.
you know, we have to think about where our district is and what's that covered. I almost said Gladstone Festival, but then Gladstone's not really an NCPRD's district. But I'm sure people from Gladstone use the center, and so wouldn't it be advantageous for them to know
Yeah.
the kinds of things?
So we
that
can
want
check
here?
CPO calendars. and
Yeah.
they're active and things
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. I'll leave it to your team, Riley, to flesh all that out and
Is our
come
team
back to.
Our existing, okay,
It's,
good.
I think it's.
The existing
Look to
team.
your left, yeah. And part of it
It's
too, I,
right there. Okay, meeting time.
well, part of it too, I think it's keeping the momentum
Yes.
going, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
not always gonna be a big anniversary event, open house, 'cause that takes a lot of moving pieces.
Yeah, but
But
you don't
keep
have
that
to have
momentum in
gifts to
between.
give out,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
Or
There's
like
other
adding
things.
on to an event that's already happened.
And in a couple years, when it's time to do another one, it won't feel like,
We'll have calendar maybe.
yeah, it won't feel like, oh, they didn't do any outreach since the 45th anniversary. 'Cause then-
Right.
Then we would be like, we're doing the 50th and we're like, ooh. I mean, so, I don't know. Not saying we wait until the 50th, but.
That's awesome. So I feel really good about this because that means that the 3 major goals that we discussed are all being addressed within the next, few weeks or few periods of time. So it's the first time that I know of and that other people have told me where the advisory board members have been actively involved in making something happen on a consistent basis, for the center. So I thank you for that. It's not that we developed 3 goals and they sat on the shelf and we looked at them and said, isn't that great? We're just getting down there and saying, we're gonna help make this happen. So,
Now, Mark is a big person for the Oak Grove Festival, our
Mm.
ex-board member, or your ex-board member.
uh-huh.
Right.
But I'll tell you this, it's expensive.
Oh, is it?
It was either $500 or $1,000 when they approached us.
But
Okay.
CPRD has a presence there, we could probably.
Yeah, we could
that.
take
So
it
that
to
might be
them.
different. but,
Yeah, I
when
mean,
they
if
approached
we
the
can just say,
foundation,
hey, we'll
that's
sit
what
on
it
the end
was.
of the table and we'll just hand out a
No,
brochure.
I don't think that would be a problem.
Yeah, but we'll find those things out as we move forward with it, once we see what the actual parameters of events and activities are. Thank you, you Albert, for the hand, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, okay, so those will become standing report items on the agenda, and I'll talk with Rochelle about how we put them on there, where they go, whatever. We won't have to be having to look at 30 or 40 ideas of goals in the future, so. Okay, moving right along. Stan, thanks for joining us. We're gonna have, the next thing on the agenda is the foundation report, but before Stan reports, I've asked Angela if she'll give us a really quick report on. There have been a lot of questions about how does the foundation get its money? Where does it come from? How do they budget? What does that mean with us? Whatever. So I thought she could give us a quick synopsis of financial bearing of the foundation.
Well, I'm sure next week Marty will give us the full budget that you're going to be asking us for. Can I mention the you-know-what?
Yeah, I was gonna talk about.
It was announced on the SBAC.
So a lot, just, hold on, let me interject for 1 second. So that month we missed, a lot has happened in that 2-month time frame. So with the budget and with operations and with all kinds of things, so Angela's gonna talk about some of that and where the foundation is.
All right, we start on our budget, getting members of the board to join the budget committee. Unfortunately, we have just lost our treasurer again. So it really goes on the broad shoulders of, you know, who behind me, myself and maybe Toma, the secretary. And we'll ask if anybody else wants to work with us. Our budget for this fiscal year, 24-25, I have to be honest, runs at a loss of $91,000,
Oh, wow.
which is a lot of money that we eventually have to pull from our investment accounts with Edward Jones, which was at about 1.4 million. It's a bit rocky at the moment.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
used to it.
Understandable.
The income for the center, and Stan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, comes from donations from the general public. Obviously, we do a very big one for the annual giving in November, December. And that really brings in a lot of money, particularly for Meals on Wheels, which is the you-know-what that I was mentioning to Marty, because the foundation has agreed in our next fiscal year, 25-26, to raise $180,000 for Meals on Wheels. That is a hell of a lot of money to be on one person's shoulders who has to do the hard work. But I have to say to everybody here, we're jointly and severally responsible. We need input from you to stand to the foundation board as to who we can approach, where we can ask for grants, any ideas, because from going from a deficit of 91,000 to try and raising 180,000 is a hell of a leap.
And you're hoping not to have to take any more out of your savings,
well,
obviously.
I mean, Kia came to us and said they didn't want to take money out of their savings account. We're hoping that we won't have to take money out of our savings account, but that means that we've got to find new sponsors, new corporate donations. Of course, we lost a heck of a lot with Bob's Red Mill, who not only Bob gave us money himself, but the company gave us money and also gave Meals on Wheels free access to their stock, whatever we want to call it. Their catalog. And all of that went through. So that was a huge loss to Meals on Wheels. A meal costs, I think we said $4.50, but when you do the overheads, it's closer to $12 for those Meals on Wheels.
For each one.
For every meal. And when you're talking about 70,000 meals a year, that's a lot of money. So as I say, at the moment, we get our donations. We have people that make regular donations, who make odd ones. We have, I hope you've all seen the big boards on 224, 205, 212. We have brought in a lot of interest from that, but it's going to be very interesting to see whether we bring in any money from March for Meals, which is the big one at the moment. Whether people take that marchformeals.com home and make a donation.
Mealsforseniors.com.
Mealsforseniors.com.
You can go there today if you like.
Mealsforseniors.com. What that billboard did do was bring in a tremendous amount of new people to play bingo on both Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so our bingo income has gone up substantially. The foundation has two businesses, as you know, bingo and artisan gifts. And we will arrange for artisan gifts to be open the day of the 45th anniversary.
Oh, good.
So that's
Somebody go buy my paintings, okay?
So we also do some fundraisers. Most of the fundraisers, I have to be honest, are very labor intensive. They're really more for the community. So that people come in for an Italian dinner, Thanksgiving dinner, and so forth. The most that we miss, like you get out of them is 4 or 5,
Yeah.
5 or 6
That's
thousand
something I
dollars.
noticed in my banking career and the boards we served, and that evolution of what point are you making money? What point is just community?
Exactly.
And then do you change it? And Rose Community Development was the one that changed a big one into more of a corporate dinner luncheon thing and got rid of the auction. Because by the time you got through allocated staff labor, you were losing money on paper.
Yeah, you don't
Oh,
make money on
absolutely.
you don't make money on galas,
No.
you really
Yeah.
don't.
That's more the, and then like some of those auctions or community events, you know, you would invite appropriately a lot of people that you served who didn't have the income to be bidding on some of the auction items. You really were tailoring to the wrong audience. So you're at that evolution point where, what do we do? And of course, the whole corporate dynamics in Oregon has changed significantly, as you know, over the last few years. Bob Redmill's a perfect example of an evolution of a company. I've seen that happen.
Right.
Again, but I mentioned it
Employees,
earlier.
right.
So maybe it's time to look at what are some of the options, maybe already are your board probably.
This is what our board is
Is
looking
what,
at and what we're looking
what
at.
do we do? Because you're right, by the time you spend on labor, you gotta allocate everybody's dollars, even if it's an employee that spends, taking away from other things they gotta do. So,
Yeah.
yeah, good point.
You know, sorry to interrupt, but last year, I noticed in fundraising, it was my largest fundraising year in a long time. And what I noticed was a reduction in the smaller donations and an increase in the very large donations. And the large donations are coming from IRAs, from donor advised funds, from stock gifts, you know, things like that. So, but personally, I'm just focusing on the larger gifts. The smaller gifts will come in on their own. But those larger gifts are what'll carry over the finish line. So, yeah, just what I'm seeing.
Okay. Angela, more, or is that kind of, and I have a question, I guess, too. So there's just a couple of you right now that are like what you might call budget committee. So are you looking for other
We are
folks that might be able to help
now
you on that
drastically
particular?
short of board members, right? And we've got 4 openings, right?
How big is the board?
Pardon?
How big is the board?
Our bylaws say that we can have a maximum of 15, so we're at 10 at the moment.
Do we have somebody from our board attending foundation meetings?
Ben,
So we
yeah,
learn.
Ebony, but I missed the last, got something that happened last.
Last 2
But it
years.
was good to have more than one person that could attend.
We'll take care of that.
Well, of course, Marty can't do it as well.
Yes, so, and would you,
You'd be welcome to come.
yeah, I mean, and if, so if, let's say Rosie wanted to help on the budget committee, would that be something, you know? Hypothetically,
I will say
I
that.
only want to say, I wanted to help.
Right. Now, I will say that our job really on fixing a budget this year will be easier thanks to all of the new innovations that Stan has brought in, because we now know where we get our money from.
Right, the good software
The
that
good
he's
software.
utilizing, yes, I even got an end of the year report. Thank
Right,
you.
yeah. So, the biggest thing is getting ideas for where we to go for grants, for sponsorships, corporations that we might employ and so forth. The fundraising, personally, I'm thinking of going on, you know, we'll have something for the community. We'll still have our Italian dinner and Thanksgiving dinner, but
But that
they are
wouldn't be
so
the-
labor intensive and get very little money. Mind you, I might still do my mahjong tournament because everybody loves that.
Is that one of the reasons why the Pride Bingo got canceled, is because of the
The
effort?
Pride Bingo is in fact on the books for this year,
It is.
but it is again labor intensive. But that one, we do bring in, you know, $5,000 or $6,000 because we charge quite highly for it.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good fundraiser.
And people enjoyed it, but of course there is a lot of pros and cons as to whether we should be doing it or not, right?
What's that?
Community interest,
Right.
in which I'd say do it.
Well, it's
It's beneficial. It's
What's that name?
inclusive, so
Which the community center is.
Exactly.
It's all
So-
inclusive, and people just have a lot of fun playing bingo.
Yeah,
And he does a tremendous job of promoting the center. But again, then we have to find 10 prizes and so on and so forth, you know, it's, we do manage to seat, how many people do we seat for that? 100, 150, I think we did last year. And bingo is now up to 150, we're reaching capacity, we need a bigger center. Right,
And when you have big events, I think.
Right.
You get to the stage as an organization that what audience are trying to attract, and by raising the ticket prices, you are gonna get sometimes
People who can
People-
spend more money.
people who can spend more money.
you get the different
There's a- and it's-
demographic of people.
Yeah, and that's what you have to decide on, what is the demographic,
Right.
but I think, you know, I'm glad that we're still gonna do the community dinner, Thanksgiving dinner. Because that is, we still need to do community outreach, even if we only.
Yeah.
break even.
just to bring people into the
That's
center.
still-
you know.
And to me, I feel like that's.
As long as
reason
there's a
people
break
who
even,
Don't have
it's
another
okay.
place to go for those dinners. You know,
Exactly.
and they get to have community around.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
The Housing and Senior Services Fair is the next event that's coming up.
It is
So if you haven't got your table, all of you business people, get one.
17,
We
April
make
17th.
money on that.
We make money on that.
I really like that event, I go home.
Because we charge them for a table, but then they're
Never have to buy
responsible
another
for all the
pen and another
decorations and their giveaways.
Yeah.
Right.
Last couple of times I've been, it's like, well,
And it's
Yes.
well attended,
Yes.
yeah.
there's not much, is there a lot of labor?
No, it's just really the setup of the tables, but then they're responsible for decorating and all of their
Do all that
giveaways.
setup and
It's a good place to get all of your new pens for the year.
So, you're right, I mean, I got the pins and.
Have to order all the last year, like,
Right.
So if any of us had ideas on people you might reach out to ask about grants, can they just email you or email Stan?
Email
or
Stan,
just
would be
email
fine,
Stan? And that's one way that we can help, you know, let's be aware of what opportunities are out there and share them as much as we can with the foundation so that they can carry on the work.
And I don't know if you or looked at it, you probably already know this, you've been doing it longer than I have. But a lot of your corporations are already starting to work on budgets for next year.
Yes.
I don't have the money reached out by end of second quarter, you're not getting it this year.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at, and I used to get, you know, corporate requests when I was in the bank, and it's like, okay, you came to me in October, we're talking next year now, because it's, what's done for this year is
Yeah.
done.
That's what he's
Yeah.
concentrating
All
on.
the money's gone, yeah, Bank of America, I remember was the same way.
Yeah, they have a budget for giving. And so,
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about it, you know, and then there's other things like this, the seafood place, Pacific Seafood, they've been very community oriented, so reach out to them, see what you can do. So,
The last Saturday
Last
of
Saturday in June.
June, right.
yeah. Thank you for sharing all that information.
Yeah.
Kind of dire news, but we need to know it, we need to know what's going on,
So
so.
can I add, Stan would like to add something?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, I was just gonna see if Stan had anything more to.
Yeah.
After she stole everything.
Well, you
Let's
might-
see let's see what Ben has, either a question or
I had
say.
a little question.
Yeah.
Well, I've been going back to the minutes, next like January's minutes, I was looking back through it for something, and it said that we raised $60,000 for New Seasons for the donated dinner, I'm thinking it's probably six.
That was not 60.
It's like 6,000,000.
Extra
It'd
zero.
be nice if it was.
Would it be
16.
last
I
6,000
didn't find
or
that. I didn't see
So,
that.
yeah, we'll need to fix that, but, we'll do that in some other time for the minutes, but I was like, I
Yeah.
didn't think it was 60, I know it's a local store, but I didn't think that we were gonna go
Yeah,
up
we
a
don't do that.
factor of
much.
10.
Yeah.
You'll laugh, in fact, they sent us 2 checks for exactly the same amount, and we were honest
They
enough to say.
Yeah, they accidentally doubled it.
So you had to
What's
get.
the reaction?
They were matching, that's what they're wondering.
This is the first one and this is your corporate batch? And you can-
Yeah.
Stan, you have
Well,
more to
yeah.
report on the
Yeah.
foundation?
Sorry, Stan.
No, please.
That you bring up a good point, because I know when I worked in the bank there was a corporate match, so you get individual people that work for companies that will match, is making sure, are they aware of what the corporation will do? Just, we used to match, you know, which for every employee, why don't you contribute? So highlighting that brings us.
Yeah, we can incorporate that into, we're planning on doing, you know, an end of fiscal year, please send money, you know. And, you know, again, Kia made the point that unless the boards support the foundation, how are you going to expect the external people to support the foundation? So that is very important that we show support in our donations to the foundation to encourage the general public to do so as well.
Okay. We'll keep that in mind. So,
Yeah.
Stan?
So some of this way, excuse me, something jumped in my throat this morning, but I feel fine, so. Some of the way that,
I just don't want to see anything jump out.
no, I'll swallow it, it's okay.
Right? I'm gonna be inundated here in minutes.
Something that NCPRD has asked us to do, I mean, we're looking at 180,000. But as you know, the connections, this next one is the last edition. We'll no longer be printing that. There's a substantial shift of funding from there to that 180,000. There's a substantial shift of funding to some of the recreation programs that we used to give to. They said, no, we don't want you to give here. We need it to go here. And so there is a substantial shift of funding that we can have. But we still, you know, I mean, it really has been the Bob's Red Mill that went away right before the pandemic. Then we ended up with the money from the pandemic. And now we're out of that money. And we're in this place where we need to find some more corporate partners specifically for Meals on Wheels, which is an easy sell. Meals on Wheels is an easy sell. It really is. I mean, and even if you get somebody, corporate sponsors, we can get new magnetic things for the sides of the cars when they're going out and delivering that actually has a sponsor name on there. You know, if they had a way to put their name on things, they can sponsor Pete's Cafe and actually put their name on it. There's a lot of different ways that we can, that they get a return off of that as well. And I just think it's just looking for those corporate sponsors and looking for those grant opportunities. I personally don't see that this is going to be, I don't think it's going to come out of our savings because I'm kind of a positive thinker that way.
You've all heard me say that.
Yeah.
You all heard me, that's right.
Well, anything we can do.
I told
Despite
somebody.
what he's saying, we still have really over 100,000 to make, even if you take those other budget margins out.
That's
Yeah.
true, I know, but people laughed at me when I said that we were gonna start having 150 people for bingo. Last night was 153.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so, and we filled the house, but we did it in a very, I mean, it was well organized, it was well set up, and people were having a blast.
That's good.
We've added beer and wine to bingo, which has been, well, to Thursday night bingo, and as Tuesday grows, we're gonna bring it into, which has been very successful. Just over $300 just last night, just for beer and wine. So, which is kind of cool, because it's, besides my assistance, it's all volunteer run, and we don't have to pay rent, so we're, you know, that's pretty exciting. And then Tuesday night bingo, which we started and have still been inconsistent, because we still can't do fourth Tuesdays until July. July, we began getting, yes, because there was a long-term rental. But it's beginning July, beginning this next fiscal year, we have all Tuesdays, they've agreed to move their night. So, but even with that, we've gone over 50 a couple of times with Tuesday nights, which is pretty good. Average attendance for Thursday night bingo when I started was 75 to 80. And occasionally we would shoot up and break 100, but it would never stay. We've been consistently over 100 and been breaking into 120, 140, 150 now, regularly.
How much does bingo make when you net everything out?
Last year, which, you know, was a funny year, so we should certainly make more.
Yeah.
Our net was $33,000.
But I
We
can
should double that this year,
easily,
this.
I can tell you that the gross profit off of our first night that we went over 150 was, over $2,200 just for that night.
Mm.
And so, you know,
Yeah,
we're
'cause
doing that,
everything's already
doing
laid
that
out.
4 times a
People-
week.
people
I mean,
have
doing that
to
twice a
watch.
week at four times a month, you know, it really has a great potential for,
Yeah.
and people love it. It's really exciting to watch.
I need to come, I saw him.
I was
There
sharing,
you go.
I shared at the,
That's some very
staff
serious
meeting
bingo players there.
last couple week ago or so, whatever, that even the staff here, I'm like, which Linda showed up last night with her family. They didn't play, but she wanted to come see. I said, you guys think that you know all the regulars here. You think you know the people that are coming in, but you haven't been coming to bingo because there's a whole nother crowd that's here every week that you are completely unfamiliar with. And so it's an amazing whole other social network that is attached to this building that a lot of people aren't aware.
Yeah, Rosie has a question or a comment.
I see that.
Just quickly, I was having coffee with one of our senior people in the community, and they said they're having a hard time getting to the community center, that there was no bus route here. I just wanted to see if that's correct.
That is correct.
And if we had a bus route here during bingo night, that might be a way to increase those numbers as well. Just saying.
So at one point we talked about possibly busing, but I don't know that that's gonna really be in the budget for us to do. But one of the things that Bonaventure, Krista Bonaventure and I are partnering in doing is petitioning TriMet to bring our bus route back, because
I would
with
gladly
the increased population on this route, they need to bring it back.
Yeah, when
We
they
used-
first took it away, I mean, I testified at everything I could to say, leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it, but they
Our
took it
board
away.
discussed
God,
that
that's been a long
last
time ago.
Yeah, I mean, these are people who are trying to get to their art classes or their writing.
Or
classes,
anything.
Because anything.
Rosie,
kind of
Or
board
bring their
at home.
littles to ballet class.
Depending on where they live, you know, our buses go around.
So we have our own buses.
We have
and
our
we
own
pick
buses.
people up, bring
So
them here, and then take them
Anna
back.
can tell you, Anna Hernandez can tell you whether you're on one of the routes or whether it can be.
So they need to call into the
They need
center
to
to
call
see
into
if the center.
Correct, not
has-
just-
Just all the
Maybe we
centers
need
may
to
have
mark
an ask for
that one more
transportation,
too.
Okay,
and then just
I didn't know
ask,
that was offered.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So it's limited, but it
Uh-huh.
is for all residents, and like when you see the little buses, you just call them and you come in for a
Okay.
certain part of the
Good to
day.
know.
Okay, I wanna make sure we have enough time to get through all the other items on the agenda too. I wanna hear what Ben has to say. In Virginia, thank you.
Is there a suggested donation for the transportation or?
There is, it's $1.50, so it'd be $2 a ride.
All right, but it's suggested.
It's suggested, so if you can't afford it.
If you don't have it, you don't.
Well,
Same
that's a
as
lot more
lunch.
affordable than Uber.
A lot more affordable.
I think.
And it's actually really nice, it becomes a social activity as well.
Yeah,
I just wondered, our bingo players, is that a younger crowd?
It's amazing to that. When I started, it was, which actually much older.
Oh,
And as it's grown, because of our advertising, we are seeing families, groups of young people, a whole bunch of different, I mean, it has become very mixed, much more than it ever was.
Yeah. At least you do
It's-
a road
it's
with
hip
those
now.
social.
We talked about it before, yeah, maybe we'll bring it back up.
Yeah, well, gee, our
Yeah.
president could mention that.
Yeah, I can mention that.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Thank you, guys. Great report, we're very interested in what's happening and how we can help but if we don't know these things, then.
You will get the letter, believe me.
Good. Next on the agenda is the District Advisory Committee, Joel.
Well, there've got a few things, I'll try to bite my tongue on some of these, I think some Marty's got some budget discussion.
Yeah.
But number one, I did officially announce our foundation gala thing, the DAC, for May 16th. One thing I would like to ask though, and I'm asking myself and our committee at least, is to come up with a semi-formal save the date flyer of some sort that we can share with DAC members, so they can share it to their sub areas, because that's one of the best conduits to get out in the district.
And especially the district outside of the city of Milwaukee.
So we did request that,
Okay.
this past week, so.
Yeah, that would be
Hopefully she
helpful,
comes up with
because,
something for us.
yeah, just to get outside of the Milwaukee
Agreed.
Community Center circle, because we wanna encourage everyone in our district. The main discussion, also, there's gonna be a couple openings on the DAC for sub areas 1 and 2, so your map. Those recruitment sessions should be getting in the next couple of months, so if anyone's interested in those sub areas, please look into it. There's another voice that maybe is already familiar with the Milwaukee Community Center would be very helpful, especially as we move into the next 6 to 12 months. Also, the biggest meat of our meeting was system plan. The system plan is kind of finishing up phase 3, which is sort of analysis, implementation stage 4. They're hoping to wrap it by May, June. The biggest takeaways right now are they've established a vision and mission for NCPRD, which, as a reminder, certainly to new folks, that's what we're part of. And then the 3 or 4 themes, and I won't go into all of these, though, well, the 4 themes, care for and investment in parks and rec, connect to nature, play for all, and enrich our community. These can all be found online. I don't know if you're able, Rochelle, to share the system plan link, the website at least. I would encourage everyone on this board, even if system plans sound boring and dry, to check this out, because this is what's gonna determine everything we're talking about in this room. And it's very important. It's not a, this is an important takeaway that I kind of took to heart too. The system plan is not this is what we're going to get. It's this is what the community wants, and how do we get it? Which then leads into the bigger questions, which will come up, and it was addressed at the DAC, governance and funding, our tax rate that actually supports this whole district and all the funding we're talking about. The donation, the incredibly generous donation from the Milwaukee Community Center Foundation of $180K was addressed. That's earmarked for older adult services. NCPRD is cutting budgets because they have to. It's not because they're the bad guy, in my opinion. And older adult services isn't something that's falling under the umbrella for next fiscal year. My own opinion is I don't think it's gonna be falling under the umbrella of NCPRD the year after either. I think there's gonna be, I mean, I have no idea, but there's obviously issues with funding. There's only so much money in the district. And it's beyond just the Milwaukee Community Center, obviously. So when you look at the system plan and share this with the people you guys deal with, the idea would be to say, this is why we want all these great things. We want to continue supporting all these great things. We can't pay for it with what we have. We can't rely on the Milwaukee Community Center Foundation to come up with $200,000 magically every year to supplement just one, in the big picture, small portion of the whole district. So we're gonna have to become advocates for getting what we want, if this is truly what we want. So all that being said, that's why it's important to become familiar with the system plan. Also on that note, we are meeting as a DAC now every other month, which is kind of crazy because there is a lot of stuff going on right now. Budget, a new formation, a new board of directors, which is the Board of County Commissioners, one of which will be a new replacement soon. So I mean, it is what it is, but, and the system plan implementation, and we are now skipping every other month because largely because of the amount of staff time it takes to prepare our meetings, which I completely understand. I mean, even staff time for this meeting takes time away from other things they could be doing. So, for better or worse, we're meeting every other month. Our next meeting will be in May. And then I think that will, the next NCPRD Board of Directors meeting was supposed to be last month, a few weeks ago. It was canceled because they didn't have a quorum at the time. And they're not rescheduling until next quarter. But if you have an interest in the district that we're all volunteering for, I would encourage people to at least check out those Board of Directors meetings, because despite what happens for NCPRD on behalf of NCPRD, rather, during the regular business meetings on the county level, these Board of Director meetings are the ones that are solely focused on the Parks and Rec District. I will share that date as soon as I know, and hopefully Rochelle and the staff here can share that with everyone as well. And then, oh, for everyone that knows Joe Loomis, a lot of people do, he's retiring.
You're
I
kidding.
know. He probably's
No.
been sleeping in the basement of Concord for the past 6 months anyway, but he's a great guy, so that was kind of a fun thing I wanted to make sure we
Should
shared.
be one of those retirements, but he's still gonna be
A
there.
lot, yeah, exactly, he's gonna shake him away. No, but Joe is a great guy.
Are they having a party? That's what I wanna know.
They did say they will be doing some sort of party, so I'm sure if you're,
Is that me?
I don't know, it's like
Where is
definite
it?
or something. so
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's you. That's all I really had, but we're not meeting until May. If anything from this board wants to be shared on behalf of us to the DAC, please let me know. The save the date would be great to get out in the interim, certainly in April, the sooner the better, just so we can get people in the loop on that. So that kind of falls on our committee, but I want to make sure we're doing something proactively with that. That's all I have.
Thank you, lots of stuff going on, definitely keep us informed. So next on the agenda, I've added this and we're gonna have it as a standing report. Some months there might be more or less or whatever to report, but we've had many questions from board members and discussions at our meetings and stuff about the overall budget, not of NCPRD, but of how we relate to that, what's our piece of it, and being part of the NCPRD budget. So Marty, you're on.
I am on.
Yeah, and we got 20 minutes left of our meeting
Okay.
and 3 or 4 reports, so I just want to be cognizant of that. And then we
Okay,
still
I
have to
will-
vote at the end of this meeting too.
I will combine both of mine, and I will,
Thank
while I'm
you.
passing these out, I'll just talk about a couple things.
Okay, sounds
That'll
good.
save us time, so please take one. Also, this is our volunteer recognition brunch, Saturday, April 5th, please. RSVP start next week. But we'd love to see you guys there with your new name tags. So I'm gonna pass these around
That'd
too.
be really
Yeah.
So
good.
please take one of those as well, that's super important. And I also wanted to mention, because I know that's been talked about in this group a lot over a few years, but. Right now, one part of the. Change of funding for the foundation to the budget for nutrition for next year is pulling out of the. Dedication of funding to the pool room renovation. So we are putting that whole renovation off until we can get some grants and figure out a way to do it properly and not sort of half construct it and then. Not have it ready to go, so nothing will be happening. The last week of March will be open for business as usual. It'll be quiet because there's no classes that week. We did allow the taxes to, we talked about it 200 times to schedule that out, so.
And believe you me, I filled them up.
Yeah, I couldn't get in.
Okay. So,
If you wanted to.
this is a lot of numbers, that I passed out here, but I would want to discuss. This first sheet, the one that's regular legal, kind of an interesting. Exercise we did this past fall to try to come up with a cost of running. The Milwaukie Community Center. So there's like 5 budgets, that we're including in this. Which is kind of confusing, but the way the Parks District works. Is all the different divisions have a separate budget, there's a recreation budget. Maintenance budget, marketing budget, administration budget, so on and so forth. I personally am responsible for 3 of those budgets, transportation, nutrition, and social services. Recreation budget is also very closely tied to this facility, because most of the programming happens here, not all of it, but a lot of it. And the community center budget is other things such as janitorial, maintenance,
Like
overhead, utilities, so things that just to operate a building like this, you need, even if there was no real programming in it. So what we were doing is we were breaking it down into these 5 budgets to see, you know, what the income was. And then what the expenses are. And then coming up with the subsidy, which is kind of an interesting word, but it's basically the subsidy in this instance is what is coming from the tax base. To support the facility.
But that's the only place the tax actually shows up.
Is a subsidy, that's
Okay.
correct.
And where is that number on this?
So that is the one that is in under expenses, after we're taking the, basically the revenue section, which is the first block. The expense section. And then,
Right here.
right, and then, so then you subtract that. Yeah, and that's a good question, so you subtract that and that's the subsidy.
Okay.
And then one thing we wanted to do for the community center is take out a lot of the administrative overhead, because those numbers are in our budgets. So like, for example, which is the other one here, for an example, I included the nutrition budget, but for example. In the contracted services line, contracted employees, it's gonna be the highest number in all these budgets, but that includes. Administrators, like Kia, like our director, our accountants, different, our finance people, or IT, you know, it includes different people. They get put in through, they get spread throughout all the budgets.
Percentage.
Wise, so we wanted to take those out in this exercise, because those people would be here regardless of what other things we're doing here.
Mhm.
Marty, can I ask a quick clarifying question? The subsidies we're talking about, though, that is strictly from North Clackamas Parks and Rec District budget, not any county general funds?
Correct, yep.
So that's
Yeah.
nothing, there's no, is there other county support
So,
listed somewhere on? here?
well, the other county support would be the allocated charges.
Yeah.
So for instance, payroll. Technology services, phone services, things like that, human resources. Those are allocated to all the different departments.
So there's nothing
So
coming
in this budget here, the nutrition program,
Not coming in. There's nothing in the general,
so wait, so you're talking, go ahead.
general fund budget from the county that comes to NCPRD.
Correct.
So like, that's what, I guess I
Oh,
was
sorry.
clarifying, like, we're not getting another chunk of funds from Health and Human Services.
No.
or nutrition.
Correct.
Everything is coming from the North Clackamas, the Parks and Rec budget.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's just an important distinction
This is
to
important.
know.
So the
Because-
I'm sorry, so Clackamas County is not supporting us financially, we're supporting, helping support them financially.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a two-way, they're giving us services, so
Right.
we're paying for all their
Should
services.
nutrition
Yes.
services from H3S
So,
be giving us money?
so that's a good question, so H3, we work closely with H3S. As you see in the nutrition budget, there is a federal operating grant, and then there's charges for services to other government. Up at the top. So so we have a contract through H3S, which is Health and Human Services.
Yeah.
With
Oh, I'm
the
sorry,
county,
I
so that's
see.
basically the county social
Health,
services.
Housing and Human Services.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they don't give us money, they operate as a conduit of federal funds.
Yeah.
So the
It
way it
shows up in
works,
their budget.
the way it works in Clackamas County is they get a chunk of Older Americans Act money from the federal government. They give that to the county, and then in Clackamas County, they distribute it to the 10 different senior centers for Older Americans Act services. Then there's also, which also includes the home delivered meals. So based on the sizes and the amount of people the different facilities serve, they get a particular chunk of this money. We serve 25% of the whole county out of all the 10 centers, so we are by far the largest, so we get the largest chunk. But that's kind of how that works. The other part, the federal operating grants, the 90,000 on this budget is Medicaid money, which comes through the state individually. So if you are a Medicaid client, the federal government will through your case manager, or everybody that has a case manager will approve for your Meals on Wheels, and they reimburse us. at like $12.25 a meal, which is great. The federal government reimburses us at like $4.50 a meal, which isn't great.
That doesn't.
And that's why all the extra fundraising and.
That comes in individually to you guys too?
Those
Per-
come,
per
no,
day, Per person?
the Medicaid does, there's vouchers, and then they add them up and give us one check.
Okay.
Yeah.
I should-
Yeah, so we get a check, basically a monthly check, a monthly check with all, in our, thankfully, like, it's kind of getting into the weeds a little bit, but those numbers have been going up a lot because. The OA numbers are going, not the numbers of people needing meals, but the funding is going down. Not because of the administration now, but because. The ARPA funds, which were the COVID funds, basically there was a lot of this, and they were giving it out fairly free. That stopped.
Yeah.
So basically our funding level for nutrition was here, and then through COVID, it went up to here. And so did the amount of people we served, and then the amount of people we served basically went just down a little bit. And the funding's going back down to pre-COVID levels, so we're kind of in a pinch. So that's part of the reason why we've asked for the increase in foundation support.
Isn't there a problem with the cost of food?
And that's the compound, so two other things compounded that, inflation, right, cost of food's gone way up. And Bob's Red Mill stopped giving us food. So we kind of got like the triple whammy, which has been really.
Hi, Marty.
A couple good things have happened, good things continually happen in the nutrition program actually, but right now right here, this 90,000 for the federal operating grants, which is the Medicaid money. That's gonna come in this year about 140,000 because we've just been helping a lot more of those folks. Staff's been doing a good job identifying people in the community, reaching out to their caseworkers and getting them involved. Also, the funding for the congregate meals, which is the meals that people eat here, congregate meals, that funding is not going away, it's actually increased, oddly. So, we're doing our best to try to get more people in here to eat, rather than sending their meals at home.
Are we still around 250 people?
So basically 230 maybe.
Okay.
On the home delivered side, and then another 30 to 50 on the congregate
We're
side.
around 170, 180.
We peaked at about 170 during the very peak of our COVID service.
And on the congregate meals, do they have to be eaten here? I mean, it makes sense that they would, that's
They
what it
do.
says,
Mhm.
but I'm thinking of, could somebody come pick up meals for somebody else?
And those conversations have been
Is
had, well, but right now they do have.
Okay,
Is there any like flyer or bookmark thing in the home delivery meals saying that they can get meals here if they come in person?
So they, even better, our social workers visit those folks once a year, so depending on your situation.
That's a once a year touch,
Yeah.
where this is daily or weekly touch, however often they get
to
the
deliver.
meals. If they have a
to
little
deliver the meals.
reminder saying, come on in.
Yeah, and that's a good idea. We could give them a
It
menu.
might- It might change the percentage of, so,
Yeah.
so it's all.
Give me
worth
market
it.
to bring home.
I'll give you our data.
Somebody might not realize that you could
Yeah.
actually go in and.
Yeah.
you know,
No, I
try to
think-
get a good
I think really brings us,
thing,
Continually in all kinds of different ways, try to market back to get people in here.
Okay.
So, you can see sort of back to the overall overreaching, we bring in, a fair amount of revenue, almost $1 million. But this, unfortunately, the expenses, and which is mostly, personnel, I mean, you can look at that number, so it's a lot, so,
Always is, it's people.
Always is,
Things
always
don't
people.
happen if you don't have people.
And one thing that I, want to give Kia a lot of credit for, is she's really gone through a lot and trying to do a lot to eliminate the possibility of needing to lay off people, so we haven't had to do that. Which, there's been some things that have changed and some things we were gonna do that we're not doing as a district, but to date, there haven't been any layoffs.
Just
so.
natural nutrition.
Not just nutrition.
Nutrition. people retiring.
Oh, attrition, yes, yes.
Attrition.
Yeah.
Attrition and not replacement.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and I hope that helps as just a general overview.
it truly
Super
does,
helpful.
we
Yeah.
anyhow,
Thank
you
you.
guys, yeah, when we know what we're dealing with, we can think of ways to help, even if it's just a little bit in there somewhere, just like sending notes home or into.
Right.
With the Meals on Wheels. Send a little card like this that said, did you know, you could be eating with other people, you know, in a communal meals, have the same food, you know.
Yeah, there are health benefits to that. I mean, if you look at the blue zones, you know, it talks about the importance of being together.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
I know, as somebody who eats meals alone, yeah, I know what that means, yeah, Joel.
Well, I just, Marty, I'm assuming, can you share with us when you submit the
Yes.
the upcoming budget?
So once that's- Yeah, I wanted to give you an overview to start, but
Yeah, no,
once
exactly.
that's approved, which may not be, that might be 2 meetings from now.
Right.
I will definitely bring that.
Just so we kind of feel like we're.
And
in
then
the
we
loop.
can kind of go, we can go through and see what.
Yeah.
And another kind of link in that, am I not correct? I think I'm remembering from all the county budget stuff. There is an actual NCPRD budget committee that
Correct,
exists,
yes.
with 5 county commissioners and 5 citizens at large. And they meet, you know, no matter what we do around this table or, you know, whatever else happens, that's the final group before the Board of County Commissioners that adopts the budget.
That is correct. The
And-
whole
and-
park.
And all of those budget meetings are online and you can watch them as they happen, you know. So, yeah, okay. We're gonna keep that monthly on the agenda
Okay.
so that when there's something we need to hear about, you know, there's an automatic click that, oh yeah, I've gotta talk about X, Y, Z, so.
Thank you, Marty.
We've got about 10 minutes left of our meeting and, wanna see if we can get through in that period of time and still have an opportunity to talk about things. Thank you, Marty, anything else that you have?
I think I just wanted to mention one other thing, that the Concord grand opening is scheduled at this point for October 18th. So I don't know if people want to calendar out that far, I think it's 11 to 3.
October what?
18.
18.
What was the time, 11?
11 to 3. Of course, I'll update you as we get
Yeah.
closer. Yeah.
That'll be a big one.
I just thought if people are interested, you know, that's a big question mark now too with the budget thing, because it's hard to open another, you know, like as Bill was saying, that's another reason we need to try to increase our funding source, because it is a lot. I mean, you see what it costs to run this one, and we don't have that money to run the other one.
Is there any, this is sort of like really off-the-wall question, but it just now struck me. Is there any ability in the state of Oregon, I mean, we have the one levy, which we cannot increase. Can we run a separate, you know,
Well,
levy or
they can,
tax?
it
or-
can be changed with a vote, so they just
I
gotta
thought
get
it
it on.
couldn't be changed unless you change the structure.
I think that's not the case. I think that has been some of the verbiage used before, but there is a way, I believe, to do it, from what I've been told.
Yeah,
That'll be discussion.
yeah, yeah.
Because if they,
Okay.
Kia, you know, and I agree with this, wants to keep it as simple as possible. The last time we tried, I think it was 2015, 10 years ago.
Yeah,
It was
2014.
very confusing, so it was the increase
It was
of,
extremely, even I didn't understand what they were trying to
Right,
do,
and
and
if-
I had it explained to me in half a dozen
Yeah,
times,
it was-
probably by Joe.
it was sort of like,
Mercy.
it was like
Yeah.
voting on a board of directors and
Bars.
increasing the amount, and it was separate from the county.
And no specific reason as to why to increase the amount, that was the thing that got me and a lot of other voters.
That was the messaging of this, especially with the system plan,
Yeah.
is we're gonna have all of this laid out, plain as day. As representatives of our center or your district, and that, I mean, that's like kind of the perfect ammunition, so to speak, or marketing tool to show people. Look at all this awesome stuff we could have.
Right,
But
and
it
right now
costs
we
this
barely
much.
have
Was
care.
you need to be able to point out that, what is it, we're at, I think, well, no, at 54 cents per thousand, we are the lowest. And the
That's
next one up was like 97, and that was years ago.
Well, yeah, and that's all in the system,
We all
and
get-
information available to
Yeah.
everyone now to see those diagrams, it's remarkable.
Yeah,
Cause I think, to Kia's point, I'll shut about this, is it's a tax rate of we're increasing 3% every year. Whereas operations alone for NCPRD are 14% every year.
yeah.
So it's not sustainable, even as is, and there's hiring freezes now, and like you said, we haven't had to have major layoffs, but. This is a sinking ship as it is. There's no, I mean, it's not like,
We've got to increase.
there has to be a
Income.
change.
There's gotta be-
Or we're gonna have to remarkably cut services.
Yeah.
And people aren't super satisfied.
Yeah.
Marty,
Okay,
Marty, is it still going to stay as the Concord Center?
I think there's gonna be an official naming, is that
There's a
correct?
huge, I didn't wanna take that scab. There's been a big discussion. Actually, the NCPRD Board of Directors just formalized a new naming policy. Encourage you to go check it out, but there will be, I'm sure, great debate about that. It also ties in the library, when are they gonna name their thing, but it will likely always probably have a Concord.
Concord somewhere in the.
Somewhere, but that's, it depends on what circles you run in, but that's a touchy subject too.
So it's all in, with the C, isn't it, right?
Yeah,
C.
yeah, right, something.
okay. All right, thank you very much. Great conversation, a lot of things going on. Much
Sarah?
appreciated.
There's some-
Yeah.
Oh, Sarah, there's Sarah. Sarah, are you on? Can you hear
I
us?
think there's something in the chat.
I see something in the chat.
That's just
Are you
our
ready?
notes,
Yes,
think.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I know, we your last 10 minutes of tech.
Right.
Then do
Oh,
those.
Okay, well,
It
meanwhile,
doesn't fit time.
Kelly, I'm gonna excuse you from the meeting.
This has been very
Came today.
You picked the meaty one.
Really is this extensive.
This has been one of the
Complaining about
most intense
cooking.
meetings and yet hilarity meetings that we've had.
It's too easy.
Yeah, Sarah says the audio.
Yeah. Lots of.
It's like it's every time.
Oh, shit.
Over the years, trust me.
Yeah. Great.
Well, have a good day.
Okay, Angela, as always, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I've got another.
Thank you for the really good budget information.
Thanks for the money too.
Oh,
Yeah, thanks for the. money.
Amazon.
Amazon, okay, what'd you call it?
It's called a Mary Stick.
A Mary stick? Okay.
That's nifty.
Alright, that is really cool. My mom is always dropping hers.
Oh, I know, that's why a friend bought it for me, because I'm all that tripping over it.
Amazing.
I have has those, has one anniversary thing, it's a little flat thing, and there's a hook underneath for your purse.
Oh, okay, so
Sit on the table when you're at the restaurant. It's the same.
I'm gonna take a note.
Amazon Mary Sticks.
Okay,
Thank you. Good to see you, Angela.
thanks, Angela. Always good to see you. So we're trying to get Sarah in. Meanwhile,
It's popping here.
so board members, we have a candidate. We met her, we asked her some questions, so what say you?
Or the thing I noticed was, the application says she doesn't live in the district, but she does live in Milwaukee, right?
Oh,
How could she live in Milwaukee and not live in?
I
That
don't
might just be a mistake.
I don't think she understood it.
Yeah.
Oh, she might
Her zip
not,
code's
I didn't,
97222.
I'm sorry, but I didn't even
She's Sudbury
notice
one.
that.
She must be.
Yeah, she's Sudbury one.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, for 59, unless, I mean, that's near, it's near Linwood.
It's Sudbury one, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Is
It's
Samsung
fine.
the
It's good. That's
TV?
good.
I mean, unless it's one of the little
59.
pockets.
Otherwise, I support
Huh.
but I don't think it's just, she just says, do you live in unincorporated Clackamas County? No,
I don't think she understood.
She doesn't speak Milwaukee.
she lives in the city of Milwaukee, so she's in the district.
Yeah.
54 if it's in the district, isn't it?
Well, actually,
59.
actually,
That's fine. It's not
District-
a major discussion. Let's just.
the district would be, would include even.
I second your motion to accept her.
Okay. So that was
Thank you, Joel.
Paul and Joel. Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none. Yeah, all those in favor signify by saying aye, or hand, or whatever. Okay, and keep in mind, we do officially have one other vacancy now.
So-
that Rebecca has resigned. Joel.
Is that too, I don't know how the guys, we have to recruit through the county, whatever, but is that to just fulfill Rebecca's position or term?
Yes.
Which I think ends
Yes,
December of this year.
right,
Good
so
point.
we'd have to vote on her again.
Wouldn't we say that would fill the other?
Well, that's what I'm wondering, but so what do we do? That's what I mean.
We can put her in either position.
Well, but that's what I'm saying.
Right. You know, she's going in-
Do we, rather than make someone have to do less than, do 8 months or whatever, 6 months, let's say.
Someone will.
Can we make sure that we assign whomever to the right term? Because Rebecca's was, I think it was.
Yeah.
It
it's
is.
December. But what was Mark's?
Well, it's like open vacant now, so it's.
I know,
so you
that's
get
what
fresh.
it would get longer.
But I think it would be a fresh,
Yeah, I think she
Fresh
should get a
term.
fresh term, right?
yeah, so. if
For
we're-
position two.
Exactly, so if we're replacing position, whatever, then, I know this is stupid housekeeping stuff, but I think
No,
we should be
makes sense.
careful.
No, yeah, it makes sense. But they're both open positions, that's what I'm not.
Yeah, but one's a replacement of.
One's a replacement
Somebody.
during the term.
Technically,
Well, aren't they both?
I mean, we
Because
haven't
Mark
submitted
quit in the
any
middle of his
paperwork
term.
stating that she's
One or the other.
Say what?
resigning. I have to have a document to submit saying that she's.
Technically, we only
So
have
she
one.
hasn't emailed you,
She
Marty?
has, so I'll share that with you, Michelle.
So does that suffice as the document?
I believe so.
Man, I think that's what,
During a letter of resignation, yeah.
yeah. So we're gonna appoint her to what had been Mark's seat, so that would be a full term. So that's 4 years, right? Or three.
3 years, so then we recruit.
And we'll recruit for Rebecca's.
Yeah, yeah, and hers,
Oh, yeah.
they would have to run again after December, or in
Yeah.
December, or December,
Yeah.
whatever, you know what I mean?
Yep, vacancies are
Yeah.
filled the same manner as.
Okay.
For the unexpired term.
Alright, so we're not, and we're at our adjournment time, and we still haven't heard from Sarah.
She's out, so she's left.
She's what?
She's left the building.
Okay, got it, got it, we're good, motion to adjourn,
So,
thank you, thank you, thank you, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, really good meeting, you guys.
Marty.
We're actually doing something. 11:04.
Hammer us out, well,
Right.
enough to take a party here, come on.
Marty.
Table.
Yeah. Shots and